right, man. So let's move on and talk about this George Kittle debacle.
Well, here, let me ask you with Kittle. I mean, we're all over here talking about what should they give him, what should they do, what's the right thing to do, what's gonna happen, Dre? How do you see this playing out? Best prediction.
They're gonna sign Kittle, bro. Like, I think it's because one thing I love about this franchise, and this is not just me being a homer. Like, okay, yes, I'm a 49er homer. To everybody out there watching, I'm a 49er homer, right? Sometimes I give us more credit than we deserve because I'm just that much of a fanatic. But we are so good. You don't know when anything is about to happen. I was amazed that nothing leaked out about DeForest Buckner getting traded. Like, nobody knew that this was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the same thing with Kittle. There's nothing coming out, so everybody is going out on a limb and making their own predictions. Yep. Everybody is sliding in DMs.
Yeah,
people are being told, certain information.
Yep,
it might not even be true. Just
it's hard to know.
Yeah, and so he's just too good of a player to say we're not going to pay. I believe they're going to pay him.
Okay, well, let me ask you a follow-up. When? This year, next year?
I don't think it happens this season.
I agree with you on that. I don't think it happens this season.
Dude. I just
for the same reason it didn't happen for Buckner last season.
Yeah, I just don't.
I think the Niners' attitude is, look, if you're a third-year player trying to get that extension before your rookie contract is up, then you're going to have to give us a discount. You're going to have to make it worth our while. Otherwise, we got the leverage. It's a business. Rules are on our side. Wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. It's going to happen next year. But I'm going to disagree. I think they trade him. Not to be pessimistic, I just don't see what's different about this situation than what happened with Buckner last year. To me, it seems like a total repeat. If someone can point out like a difference, I'd love to hear it.
I think that the thing is with DeForest Buckner, you have Eric Armstead, and you already had a plan in place to get probably the best defensive. I think he's better than Derrick Brown. That's just me.
Kinlaw? Okay.
Yes, I think he's better than Derrick Brown. So, Well,
that's okay. We can come back to that another time. Keep going.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we can talk about that. I think
another time.
So they already had that in place, and you have Eric Armstead.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that with George Kittle. Charlie Warner, he was the best blocking tight end in college football, but we don't know how he's going to produce on the field. Ross Dwelly, he only had 15 receptions last year. Even though, like, some of them were like amazing catches, like Ross was getting his head blown off literally, and the tacklers were getting flagged for head-to-head contact, and he was still catching the ball, right? But you don't have anybody to replace the production of George Kittle, so you're in a much different situation.
Well, the only thing I would say is like for the scenario to play out the way I'm expecting or guessing, they would be trading Kittle for a first-round pick that they would use on a tight end. That dude from Penn State. I don't know how familiar you are with him, but apparently he's.
Wow, I got his name written right here.
I don't know how to pronounce it. There's a lot of E's and I's.
Hey, Pat Freimut. They call him
something like that.
Gronk.
Yeah.
PATFREIMUTH. You guys look up his film, of course, after watching this lovely stream. He is a monster. There's another guy from Florida. His name is Kyle Pitts, 6'6", 234. Bro, there's some good tight ends in this draft. They're elite tight ends. Like those two guys I would take in the mid-first round. Or
that's what I'm saying. And they're going to be cheaper and young. George Kittle turns 27 in October. 27.
Yeah.
He's older than Buckner.
Look,
I just can see the Niners being like, well, do we want to give George Kittle $17 million a year or 16,
right,
or trade him and get use that money on other stuff and get someone who's almost as good and younger at tight end? It's look, if they could convince themselves that they could move on from Buckner, I don't think the next logical leap is they could do it with Kittle too.
Nah, bro, Buckner's not a Kittle. He's good, but
and from Kyle's perspective, I'm replacing a 5th round pick that I basically created with the 1st round stud.
There's no doubt in my mind that Kyle. I don't want to say this wrong because I know people are tuning in, and I don't want to piss anybody off, especially not George.
Yeah, just say it in a nice way. But I know
what I will say is Kyle feels like he played a big role in Kittle being who he is,
and he did
a huge role. That's what
he did. Yeah,
right. And for that, I think that he's saying, okay, we have $12 million left in cap space. I think all of the rookies are signed by now. we might want to make a trade deadline trade that we could possibly see happening in the foreseeable future during the season, right? And he's saying, George, like, this is what our plan is, and this is probably what we're going to do to bolster our roster. And either we can get you done right now, but it might not help our roster in the long run for this year, but we're going to get you done at the end of this year. That's what I could possibly see. I don't know, but shit, we never know. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like in the midst of training camp, you see a heading, breaking news, George Kittle gets his contract, bro. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Because
okay, let me go conspiracy theory. Look, this is how I see it. Okay,
this is Grant Cohn's conspiracy theory.
Okay, so Buckner comes in last year and asks for 21. The Niners say 18, and they say, well, you know what? Let's just put this on hold and renegotiate at the end of the year. So what do the Niners do? I think the Niners, I don't know, it's a serious conspiracy theory. But I think when you're in a position like that, subconsciously, you're trying to drive his price down so you can keep him. So what does Buckner have? He has his worst year one of his worst years in terms of sacks. He's constantly he's constantly in the A gap. He's constantly being asked to take on double teams and let other people get featured. I know for a fact that back in the 80s, this is the original contract dispute was between Marcus Allen and Al Davis. Marcus Allen wanted like an extra $1 million back in the 80s, and Al Davis was like, are you kidding me? He took it personally and basically held it against Marcus Allen the rest of his career. And he would tell coaches, like, I don't want to see him celebrating touchdowns in the LA Times. I just don't want to see it. So when you're at the 5-yard line, you better not call his number. Things like that happen in the NFL. You think it wouldn't because it's all about winning, but it's a business too, and some really shady stuff goes on. So I'm not saying that Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh were trying to be like, hey, like, let's cap Buckner at 6.5 sacks. But you wonder, and you wonder with Mostert, it's like, yo, this guy's really playing well. He's going to ask for some more money. Make sure you don't start him. Or really give him that many carries near the goal line. He just ends up scoring a bunch of touchdowns from 20 yards out. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if next year Kittle just doesn't get quite as many catches. Like they start throwing more to Kyle Juszczyk or Jerick McKinnon or Brandon Ayuk just gets a ton of targets. And they just try to bring it down a little bit like, hey, well, now you're coming off a season where you had 65 catches and 900 yards. Like
you are.
Do you kind of see where we're coming from with this $13 million offer? That's probably wrong, right? But that's how my mind works, man. I don't trust these teams.
I love it, bro. Grant,
that's right.
Some knowledge. I never knew that about Marcus Allen and Al Davis. Like I never knew that. There is. That you just blew my mind with that. That's crazy.
It's some petty stuff, but it's big business, man, and millions are at stake. So if the Niners feel like, okay, well, we'll come back to the negotiating table in a year, maybe they can just not. I mean, they're still going to use Kittle. He'll still be their main blocker. They'll still throw him the ball. But haven't you noticed that he's only caught 12 touchdown passes in 3 seasons? What's that about? No, is that Kittle's fault? It shouldn't be Kittle's fault.
Last year, he had 5 touchdowns called back for penalties.
I know that's crazy. Imagine if those hadn't gotten called back, how much money he'd be asking for right now.
Oh my God, it would be crazy. It would be crazy. I mean, I just think, man, with a talent like that, they're not going to let him go. I wish that I could say,
yeah.
I really, really, really wish that I could say who I talked to and what they said, right?
Don't do it though, because you are an up and coming journalist. Jaquaski Tart follows you on Twitter, man. Yeah. You're about to have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, so you got to keep those sources.
Yeah, I got to keep them.
You got to, man. Part of the deal.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, do you think? Okay, we're gonna. All right. First, we'll talk about the agent.
All right.
Do you think that the agent is kind of getting in the way of Kittle signing his deal? By asking too much, because bro, let's be honest, like 17 million.
Here's the thing.
Kittle is the best tight end in the world. I won't say in the league, in the world, but is he $8 million better than Travis Kelce? That because that's what everybody's going to look at. Is he $7 million better than Austin Cooper?
The other way to look at it is he a top 5 player in the league regardless of position? Top 10.
No, he is, but how they do rosters.
I know. So here, look at it this way.